The most popular pre-workout in America contains 1 gram of L-citrulline. The clinical research uses 6 to 8 grams. That gap is not a rounding error. It is a business decision. Today we are ranking 8 pre-workout brands, 5 whose prices are built on proprietary blends, underdosed ingredients, and marketing budgets larger than their formulation budgets, and 3 where your money reaches the active compounds at doses the research actually uses. Starting at number 5, Cellacor C4 Original is the best-selling pre-workout in the United States by volume, commanding shelf space in every major retailer from GNC to Walmart. A 30-serving tub retails at approximately $30, and the product's dominance is built almost entirely on brand recognition rather than formulation quality. Open the label and you find 150 milligrams of caffeine anhydrous, 1.6 grams of carnosine beta-alanine, 1 gram of creatine nitrate, and 1 gram of citrulline. The clinical research on beta-alanine for performance uses 3.2 grams per day. The clinical research on L-citrulline uses 6 to 8 grams. The clinical research on creatine uses 3 to 5 grams. C4 original doses all 3 at roughly 1/5 to 1/3 of the levels the evidence supports. The caffeine at 150 milligrams is the only compound present at a dose that has a meaningful independent effect. Cellacor is owned by Nutrabolt, a private equity-backed company. The C4 lineup now spans more than a dozen product variations, most of which share the same core architecture, effective caffeine doses, surrounded by performance ingredients present in quantities that look meaningful on a label and function primarily as a list of names. The verdict? The best-selling pre-workout in the country formulated around 1 working ingredient, surrounded by 5 that are not dosed to work. Number 4, Bucked Up by DAS Labs, retails at approximately $44.99 for 30 servings and markets itself as a no-nonsense athlete-grade formula. The transparent label shows 6,000 milligrams of citrulline malate in a 2-to-1 ratio yielding 4,000 milligrams of pure L-citrulline. That sits at the low end of the clinical range but hits the minimum effective dose threshold, which is more than most of its competitors can claim. The problem arrives at the next ingredient, 50 milligrams of deer antler velvet extract. Deer antler velvet is listed as a performance and recovery ingredient and is central to Bucked Up's brand identity. The compound contains insulin-like growth factor, or IGF-1, which was the source of a controversy when it was briefly banned by certain sports organizations. Current evidence on oral deer antler velvet supplementation at 50 milligrams does not support meaningful performance enhancement. A registered dietitian reviewing the formula for Barbend gave the formulation 3.5 out of 5 and specifically noted that the deer antler velvet dose is a marketing talking point rather than a scientifically validated performance enhancer at the oral dose used. Beta-alanine is also dosed at 2,000 milligrams, below the 3,200 milligram clinical threshold. The verdict? A partially effective formula with 1 ingredient dose to perform, 1 dose below the research threshold, and 1 present for the label rather than the physiology. Number 3 on the avoid side, ProSup's Mr. Hyde Signature retails at approximately $25 to $30 for 30 servings, making it one of the most affordable pre-workouts in the mainstream market. The label discloses all doses, which earns it transparency points. The stimulatory matrix delivers a combined 222 milligrams of caffeine and theacrine per serving, a functional energy dose. The performance compounds underneath tell a different story. The formula contains 500 milligrams of L-citrulline. The clinical dose of citrulline for improved blood flow and muscle pump is 6,000 to 8,000 milligrams. Mr. Hyde contains 50 times less than the upper end of the research range. Nitrocygen, a patented arginine-based compound, clinically studied to improve mental focus and blood flow, is included at 112 milligrams. The clinical trial on nitrosigine uses 1,500 milligrams. Mr. Hyde delivers less than 1/10 of that dose. An independent review at Illuminate Labs concluded that out of 11 total active ingredients in Mr. Hyde, only 2 are present at doses they consider effectively delivered. Caffeine and beta-alanine. The verdict: a transparent label that reveals a performance formula built almost entirely around a stimulant dose, with pump and focus ingredients present at quantities that confirm presence on paper without producing the effect on paper. Number 2, Ghost Legend retails at approximately $44.99 for 30 servings, and has built one of the supplement industry's most successful lifestyle brands through flavor collaborations with Sour Patch Kids, Welch's Grape Juice, Sonic Swedish Fish, and Bubblicious. The formula discloses all doses, which separates it from fully opaque competitors. A single serving contains 4 grams of L-citrulline, 3.2 grams of carnosine beta-alanine, 1 gram of betaine anhydrous, 250 milligrams of caffeine, and nitrosigine at 1,500 milligrams, which matches the clinical dose of that ingredient. The citrulline at 4 grams sits within the lower end of the clinical range. The beta-alanine at 3.2 grams matches the research standard. The betaine at 1 gram is below the 2.5 gram dose used in the supporting performance literature. Ghost Legend is not third-party certified. Barbend specifically flagged the absence of third-party testing as a material consideration for athletes under drug testing protocols or for consumers who want independent verification that what is on the label is what is in the container. For a product retailing at $1.50 per serving and marketed as a premium lifestyle brand, the absence of that verification is a gap the branding budget does not fill. The verdict: a partially effective formula with strong marketing and partial clinical dosing, sold at a premium price without the third-party verification that would justify the label claims. Number 1 on the avoid side, C4 Ultimate from Cellucor retails at approximately $2.25 per serving, the highest cost per serving in the C4 lineup, and is marketed as the advanced high-performance version of the brand's flagship product. The formula includes 300 milligrams of caffeine, 6 grams of citrulline nitrate, 3.2 grams of beta-alanine, and 1.5 grams of betaine anhydrous. The citrulline is listed as citrulline nitrate rather than pure L-citrulline, which means the actual citrulline content per gram of the compound is lower than the label figure implies. A Barbend reviewer rated the formulation at 3.75 out of 5, specifically noting that multiple key pre-workout ingredients remain underdosed even in this upgraded version. At $2.25 per serving, with citrulline nitrate instead of pure L-citrulline and betaine at 1.5 grams rather than the clinical 2.5 grams, the C4 Ultimate price premium over competitors who actually hit clinical doses on every ingredient is difficult to justify on formulation grounds. The verdict: the highest priced C4 product, priced for the brand hierarchy rather than for ingredients that match what the research requires. Now the 3 brands that earn the price. In third place, Gorilla Mode by Gorilla Mind retails at approximately $1.50 per serving for a 40-serving container and was developed by Derek from More Plates. More Dates, a YouTube bodybuilding researcher with a documented background in evidence-based supplementation analysis. The formula uses pure L-citrulline rather than citrulline malate, which matters because citrulline malate in a 2-to-1 ratio contains 1/3 malic acid by weight. A label claiming 6,000 milligrams of citrulline malate delivers roughly 4,000 milligrams of actual citrulline. Gorilla Mode lists 5,000 milligrams of pure L-citrulline per single scoop, rising to 10,000 milligrams at the 2-scoop serving, which the company specifically identifies as the maximum effective dose of pure citrulline in the industry. Additional active ingredients include 2,500 milligrams of creatine monohydrate, 2,500 milligrams of betaine anhydrous at the full clinical dose, 1,000 milligrams of glycer pump glycerol powder, 200 milligrams of caffeine per scoop, 400 milligrams of alpha GPC per 2-scoop serving, and huperzine A. The label fully discloses all doses. At a per-serving cost below most lifestyle brands with inferior formulations, Gorilla Mode delivers on the core performance compounds that have the strongest evidence base. The verdict: a formula built by someone who read the research, priced below the brands that outsource their formulation to a marketing department. Second place, Transparent Labs bulk pre-workout retails at approximately $49.99 for 30 servings and is Informed Choice certified, meaning every production batch is tested against the World Anti-Doping Agency banned substance list by LGC, an accredited independent laboratory. That certification is not cosmetic. It is operational protection for competitive athletes and verified quality assurance for all consumers. The formula contains 8,000 milligrams of citrulline malate in a 2-to-1 ratio, delivering 5,333 milligrams of pure L-citrulline, 4,000 milligrams of beta-alanine matching the full clinical dose, 2,500 milligrams of betaine anhydrous at the clinical threshold, 200 milligrams of caffeine paired with 360 milligrams of L-theanine to smooth the stimulant response, and 0 artificial sweeteners, colors, or flavors. Certificates of analysis for every batch are publicly posted on the Transparent Labs website. No proprietary blends appear anywhere on the label. A review published by Feast Good described the formula as one of the most complete evidence-based pre-workouts tested specifically because of the caffeine dose structure, which keeps the 200 milligram per serving total below the FDA's 400 milligram daily guideline while allowing room for other caffeine sources throughout the day. The verdict: fully disclosed doses, Informed Choice certification, and 0 proprietary blends at a price that reflects the testing infrastructure behind the product. And in first place, NutraBio PRE sets the benchmark for verified manufacturing and formulation transparency in the pre-workout category. A 30-serving container retails at approximately $39.99. Every product is manufactured in-house at NutraBio's own FDA-inspected, GMP-certified facility in Middlesex, New Jersey. That vertical manufacturing model eliminates the quality control gaps that contract manufacturing creates. NutraBio was the first supplement brand to launch a fully disclosed, no proprietary blend pre-workout in 2002, more than a decade before label transparency became a marketing trend. The PRE formula contains 8,000 milligrams of citrulline malate, 3,200 milligrams of beta-alanine, 2,500 milligrams of betaine anhydrous, 500 milligrams of agmatine sulfate, 350 milligrams of caffeine, and a full spectrum of performance vitamins and electrolytes, all disclosed individually. Every ingredient batch is tested internally and by an independent third-party laboratory to a purity standard of 99.98% or greater. Results are accessible to any consumer through NutraBio's public CheckMySups.com portal, which allows buyers to pull lot-specific lab results for the exact tub they purchased. No other brand in this review operates a public batch-level result verification system. Across all 8 brands reviewed today, the pattern is straightforward. The proprietary blend exists to hide doses that would embarrass the price. A label worth disclosing is a label that gets disclosed. The 3 brands on the recommended side disclose everything and verify it independently. The 5 brands on the avoid side are counting on the fact that most buyers read the ingredient names and not the numbers next to them. The numbers are where the value lives.